For Women in Media's storytelling series, I spoke to junior Jasmine Gresham from the recently renamed Mary Frances Early College of Education. We met behind Adderhold Hall to discuss her experience at UGA within her major and the various organizations she's involved in.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Gresham. I'm a third-year health and physical education major with exercise and sports science minor from Stockbridge, Georgia. I picked a minor in exercise and sports science because it was actually originally my major, and I switched it because I'm terrible at science. So I switched to health and physical education, but I'm going into physical therapy, so the exercise and sports science minor is supposed to help focus more on that physical therapy aspect that I hope to get when I go to grad school. I want to go into physical therapy because, one, I'm a huge fan of sports, which, like, there's not a direct link, but it's like a little bit of a link. I really have always been just a fan of like rehabilitation and just like seeing like how people are built back up. It really started with like performance, as I really love theater and fine arts and stuff, and like the idea of like helping out just people who are in performance, which is really great. And so I just transferred over to sports, and I was like, oh, I know a really great way to help them out with both, and that would be like going to the physical therapy field. So I was able to actually work at the UGA physical therapy office my freshman year as a federal work study student, and I realized how much I really liked it, and that just confirmed what I kind of already just had cooking up in my head before I got here. I hate talking about it, but I just won Homecoming Queen in November of 2020. So I'm the current Homecoming Queen for UGA, so I don't know if that's involvement, but that happened. I'm also now the current student body vice president, so I'm the vice president of Student Government Association, so that's a thing. I just joined Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, which is a sorority under the National Panhellenic Council. It's a historical black sorority, so I'm in that now. I also am a member of Student Alumni Council here at UGA. I am an ambassador for the Mary Frances Early College of Education, and I'm currently an RA here on UGA's campus for Myers Hall. So yeah. I was not intending on running for homecoming. I didn't even know you could as a junior. I didn't know that was a thing that was possible. But then my ambassador group nominated me. Love Mary Frances Early. My ambassador group nominated me, so I was just like, okay. And then I was like, well, now I really want to represent Mary Frances Early College of Education. It was our first year being named after Mary Frances Early, who's the first black graduate of UGA, and so it meant a lot to me to be able to represent her in that way as a black student. So I was like, now I really want it, because, you know, if I can get to a point, it wasn't even important to win, really. It was more so just like being on court, like being in that space to be able to represent like black students on campus, specifically like black women on campus. If a freshman coming on campus sees that, like that meant a lot to me. And I feel like that's kind of the same narrative that I take with me in like a lot of involvement that I do. I literally, the reason why I ran for SGA again was like trying to, you know, I had this platform, quote unquote, that I kind of had from homecoming. And that platform that I kind of got from there, I really wanted to capitalize on it, because or else it would be kind of not meaningless, because I was very thankful and humble, but I just really wanted to make sure that it meant something. And so I was like, well, if I can use that to help me with this other thing that would also help more people, then I can do that. And I knew student government was a really good platform to do that for. The primary reason I ran was honestly to help other people, to be representative not only for black women coming onto campus, because UGA is a predominantly white institution, but also just because I want to help all marginalized communities. And I think that's what really drives like everything that I do on campus. Is just like, I always love to help people, and I always love to help other students in any way I can. And obviously, like, the needs of students that are in underrepresented communities need to be attended to more. And so I think that's what just really drives me. It's like, if I can be in these spaces on campus to where more people that are black, that is a woman, or if I can help uplift the people that aren't even black and women, like, you know, first generation students, or even like, I'm not a rural student, but rural students, you know, members of the LGBTQ community, like if I can do anything to uplift them while being in these spaces that get a little bit more like recognition from the university, then I'm going to do that. I will say that my involvement with Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated was like a little bit different, because I feel like that's one thing that I did distinctly for myself. Of course, there's like a huge like aspect of being in that sorority, and being in National Panhellenic Council in general is community service, so it drives a lot of the Greek life there. But like that is something that I really did for myself, for my own personal growth and development, but again, like the end goal is to continue to spread just more sense of welcoming and belonging for everyone else. So like literally anything I do on campus is just to, I just don't see a point in being on campus and not having an impact for me. It just doesn't sit right with me to leave here and not leave it better than how I found it. My experience on campus is just never really solely focused on being a woman. It's usually always being a black woman, just because as you just kind of go in tangent, I can't really separate the two. Because actually I think there's more women than men on this campus, but like there's not many black women, because you know the black population is like 8% here, and you know black women within that, it's more finite, it's even smaller. But yeah, it was definitely very strange just coming to UGA in general, because I came from a high school that was 70% black, and then I came to a university that was 70% white, and also my high school was 1,500 kids, and now this university is 30,000, so that proportion is like absolutely insane. And it was just definitely taking some getting used to. It was like a huge culture shock, I think, to come to university where not a lot of people looked like me. And that's something that I definitely had to cope with. I mean, I felt really lucky that I had such diversity around me that I surrounded myself with in my community. Definitely, my non-black friends like acknowledged my blackness, and so I never felt weird because of it. However, it was definitely something that I was definitely just took some getting used to, I'd say. In terms of involvement, the one thing that I actually really like about involvement is just how inclusive it is. I think that's another reason why I get involved so much, is because everything that I'm involved with just focuses very heavily on inclusion, on making sure that everyone is representative, that everyone has a voice, and I just think those things are very, very important. When it comes to academics, I think that's when I start seeing my experience as a black woman be a little bit more isolated and a little bit more not negative, but I've definitely experienced some microaggressions in the academic world of things. In the Mary Frances Early College of Education, my experience has been quite phenomenal, can't speak. It's been very great. I love it here. My ambassador program is so nice. Shout out to Kelly Cole, my advisor, she's absolutely amazing. We not only focus on being welcoming figures and like representative of coming into the college, but we also just focus on a lot of our meetings focus on just diversity and like really just like driving social awareness and making sure that everyone feels comfortable, because especially my college is very distinct because almost everyone that's with my college works directly with people. Obviously a big portion of the college is teacher prep, but also a big portion of the college is allied health. So you're working with people like regardless. So you have like PT people, sports management people, then you also have teachers. And these are people that are literally bringing in people into the world, or educating people into the world, and like it's just so important to have that inclusive factor. And so I love it here. Everyone's amazing, everyone's great. It means so much to me that I get to attend as a black woman, the only college on campus that's named after a black woman. It means a lot. I love it, and I will speak very highly of Mary Frances Early forever and ever. So in my cohort, I am one of 2 black women in my cohort for my major. So when I walked in the first day, it was so weird because I was like, oh my goodness, there's like not a lot of diversity, at least like racially, which like is very forefront, and like that's fine, but it's just in all my other classes that I had prior to entering my major classes, there was at least like, even if there wasn't a whole bunch of black people, there was like people of color, and coming in, it was just like me and like my other friend. Well, she's not my friend, she wasn't at the time, it was just one other classmate, and we were the only people of color, and we were black women, and that was it. So that's just weird, and I think it definitely adds a little bit of nuance when it comes to like cultural conversations. Like when we talk about education in class, I think like me and like my other friend in that class who's a black one, I think we have a perspective that's a little bit different than like my white classmates. However, they're still incredibly inclusive, and everyone's still very lovely. Like it's not like anything negative, it's just something that I kind of have to deal with. And it just honestly, it drives me even further, that like I am one of 2. I hope like in 5 years that someone like black women will be like half the class, you know, especially because my major health and physical education, like being a PE teacher is not something you typically think of a, I don't know, black woman with like in that profession. So like it's really just like amazing to me that at least me and like my friend are the start and hopefully not the end. So going into the field of physical therapy, my goals are 1, get into physical therapy school, get into grad school. I'm planning on taking a gap year after I graduate next year, just because UGA is challenging and I want a break. But after that, my plan is to go to grad school. Most PT programs are 3 years, so that's my plan. After that, I hope to just work as just a nice little physical therapist for a little bit. Ideally, it would be very cool to specialize in a sport. They say not to go into physical therapy school with an idea of what you want to do automatically, whether it's like pediatrics or sports or whatever. But I do want to do sports. But I have found a new love for kids through my major. Like, that's something that's really cool about my major. Like, because I do a lot of teaching, I realize that I actually really do like working with kids. So it could be pediatrics. I don't know quite yet, but I knew I'm probably going to work at like a clinic or a hospital for a few years. But the end game is to open my own like practice or my own clinic. Just because it's all about opening the doors for other people, right? So like I just want a whole bunch of, you know, people of color, queer, non-gender conforming, transgender. I want all the different types of physical therapists like in my office one day, and someone walks in, they're just like, damn, like this is a place like for me, like I can see myself in every single person here. So that's the end game. So if I could go back and give myself some advice going into health and physical education, one, look into the major more, because I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't know, even though it's a teacher prep major, so you would think I would know a little bit, but it's still in the department of kinesiology, so there was just like this nuance that deals with it, so I just had no idea what I was going into. So just research it a little bit more, but also go into it with an open mind, because I think I was like, oh, this is a PE teacher prep major, why am I doing this? But there's actually a lot of transferable skills that I'm taking with me from this major, because it's still kinesiology, so it's very much like still has like ties to physical therapy, especially with my minor. Like I still get that physical therapy component, but I've just learned so much about myself as far as like what I'm capable of. Like I literally teach once a week in this teaching practicum right now. I observed the other day, but like I like I said, I realized like I have a love for kids and I love working with kids, and it makes me very happy when I teach them a new skill and they actually respond to it and they get better, and seeing their progress in real time is something that I never thought that I would actually enjoy, but I do. I enjoy it a lot, and it has a lot to do with I think that particular enjoyment factor, that rewarding factor that I get, is something that I'm going to take with me into the physical therapy field. So just, I think anything in life, but especially like, you know, something as big as getting a degree, because I actually changed my major, like do your research, but also go into it with fresh eyes and an open mind, because it can surprise you.